Electronically filed March 24th, 2025 at 2:32 p.m. in the 4th Judicial District of Ada County. Trent Triple, Clerk of the Court, by Jennifer Keys, Deputy Clerk. Latah County Prosecutor's Office. William W. Thompson, Jr., ISB Number 2. 613 Prosecuting Attorney Ashley S. Jennings, ISB Number 8491. As Senior Deputy Prosecutor, Latah County Courthouse is located 522 South Adams Street, Suite 211, Moscow, Idaho 83843. Due to the length and our repetitiveness, T. In the District Court of the 4th Judicial District of the State of Idaho, in and for the County of Ada. State of Idaho, Case Number C. R. 01-2 4-3 1665. Plaintiff. State's reply to Brian C. Koberger, defendant. Defendant's objection to state's motion in limine, admissibility of demonstrative exhibits and memorandum in support. Comes now the State of Idaho, by and through the Latah County Prosecuting Attorney, and replies to the March 17, 2025, defendant's objection to state's motion in limine, admissibility of demonstrative exhibits and memorandum in support. At the outset, it is necessary for the state to clarify the history between the parties on the issue of a 3D model. It is true that the state's initial plan was to ask for a to-scale 3D model of the 1122 King Road residence. As part of that, and at least partially in response to Ms. Taylor's 1 October 2023 request for additional information, CP2, second paragraph of defendant's objection. The state initiated inquiries for underlying supportive data for its own review and to share with the defense. Eventually, the state realized that there was not any need for a to-scale model and ultimately settled on proposing a not-to-scale 3D model as a demonstrative illustrative exhibit. While the emails the defendant attached to his objection make reference to a scale 3D model, Defendant's Exhibit 2, the defendant neglected to include the balance of the email thread, which includes emails between Ms. Taylor and Ms. Jennings on February 4th, 2025, and emails between the undersigned and Ms. Taylor from February 28th and March 4th, where the state advised the defendant that the state had finally received supplemental information regarding the 3D model attached to the email, and that the state was electing to use a 3D model as a demonstrative exhibit for any witness who might talk about the residence, not an actual scale model. See the full email thread attached hereto as State's Exhibit S2. Exhibit S1 was attached to the state's original motion in limine dated February 21st, 2025. Ms. Taylor's response to the state's inquiry regarding any concerns the defendant had about a demonstrative exhibit, not to scale, is merely that she continues with the same objections as we discussed, and as I expressed in email exchanges with Ashley, Ms. Jennings. The defendant's same objections are reflected in Ms. Taylor's February 4th, 2025 email, specifically, quote, "The issue I have is in the building of a to-scale model," emphasis added. The defendant now argues the same objections to a not-to-scale model without recognizing the difference in the standards for demonstrative evidence. As the state outlined in its motion in limine dated February 21st, 2022, demonstrative illustrative exhibits are properly admissible when the exhibit supplements the testimony of witnesses or assists the jury in obtaining a better understanding of the facts and issues. State's motion in limine at page 2, citing to Masters vs. Dewey, 109, Idaho 576, Court. Application, 1985. Demonstrative exhibits do not have to be precisely accurate. AD. Professor Lewis, in his Idaho Trial Handbook, 2nd edition, at section 22.7, cites to Masters and other case law referred to by the state in its motion in limine. Professor Lewis adopts the above from Masters and continues, "Exhibits are inadmissible for demonstrative purposes when they do not illustrate or make clearer some issue in the case, or where they are of such character to prejudice the jury. The appropriate test is an Idaho R. Evid 403, balancing a probative value against the dangers of unfair prejudice, distraction, confusion of the issues, and waste of time. Citation to Masters. A diagram offered for illustrative purposes needs only to be relevant to illustrate a witness's testimony. It does not have to be shown to be precisely accurate or consistent with the testimony of other witnesses. Citing to State v. Raudabaugh, 124 Idaho 758, 1993, and also State v. Ehrlich, 158 Idaho 900, 2015. The state respectfully submits that a not-to-scale illustrative model is no different than a diagram or a hand-drawn sketch or a floor plan. See Exhibits 5 through 8 presented to the grand jury in this case. The state recognizes that it will need to establish a foundation that the 3D model fairly depicts or represents the floor plan of 1122 King Road on November 13th, 2022, and that the use of the model will be helpful to witnesses in explaining their testimony and to the jury in understanding the evidence. Based on the above, the state asks that the court issue an order allowing the use of a not-to-scale 3D model of the 1122 King Road residence in order to aid witnesses in their testimony and aid the jury in understanding the evidence, provided, of course, that the state lays adequate foundation for said exhibit. Respectfully submitted this 24th day of March 2025 by William W. Thompson, Jr., Prosecuting Attorney. The following email chain has been redacted to exclude all contact information except that of the sender. From Sent, Ann Taylor, Re. Courtroom Model Exhibit. Hi, Bill. I have had an opportunity to review your email and the file attached. I continue with the same objections as we discussed and as I expressed in email exchanges with Ashley. The additional discovery and proposed use do not alleviate my concerns. I did see your motion in Lee Mine and plan to respond. Thanks, Anne. From Bill Thompson. Subject, Re. Courtroom Model Exhibit. Hi, Anne. This week we received some supplemental information from the FBI regarding the 3D model, and it is being added to Discovery Courtesy Copy attached. As Ashley and I visited with you last week, we only want to use this as a demonstrative exhibit for any witness who might talk about the residence, not an actual scale model. You seemed reluctant, so we're wondering what your concerns are and how we might try to address them. Thanks, Bill. States Exhibit from Ann Taylor. Sent. Subject, Re. Courtroom Model Exhibit. Hi, Ashley. The issue I have is in the building of a to-scale model. This relies on expertise. I need to know who is doing it, their qualifications, the data they rely on, and what programs they use to construct the model. I need this information so I can have our expert help me understand the model and make a decision. This was something we requested back in the fall to winter of 2023 when we learned of this. I don't think we have the reports, photographs, or measurements taken to support the construction of the dollhouse. I don't know who is constructing it or their qualifications. I appreciate you explaining why you want to use it, and I also want us to resolve as many issues between ourselves as we reasonably can. Will you provide us with the background information now so I can work with our expert to understand how this model is being constructed? I cannot stipulate to something I do not yet understand. Thanks, Anne. From Ashley Jennings. Sent Tuesday, February 4th, 2025. Anne, the physical model has not been completed. All that we have at this point is the drawing which we were just provided, and you now have. Our hope is to have either your agreement or a court order before expending the time and resources to do the actual construction. I note the exhibit list is due on April 21st, 2025, with copies to be exchanged at that point. I should also add that very little details will be demonstrated within the house. My understanding is only walls and doors will be present, no placement of bodies, etc. This model is to help the jury in understanding the layout of the house which, as you know, is odd. This model could be used for solely demonstrative purposes. However, our thoughts are that it would be beneficial for the jury to have context for the layout while deliberating, which means we would need to admit as an exhibit. I was hopeful that we could proactively take care of some of the more routine and equally beneficial items such as this as they come up. Ashley, from Ann Taylor. Sent Monday, February 3rd, 2025. Hi, Ashley. I am surprised to see this email. I did not see this 3D model drawing in Discovery, nor did I see it in expert disclosures. I need a lot more information, and I need to see this in person, likely with an expert. I cannot stipulate, especially without full discovery and expert opinion. Please provide all materials as well as when and where the model is available for our viewing. Thanks, Anne. From Ashley Jennings. Sent Monday, February 3rd, 2025. Anne, we would like to use a to scale 3D model of the residence at trial. We anticipate this will be on wheels, and each of the residence's floors will detach. I have included a picture of the model. Would you stipulate to the entry of this model? We intend to file a motion with the court for its use. Thanks, Ashley. This concludes this document. Address and confirmation pages indicating the recipients of the correspondence have been omitted and are not transcribed as part of this transcription. Disclaimer: we do not provide legal advice or legal support. Our content involves the reading and vocalization of actual court documents that have been publicly released as part of legal proceedings. All materials presented are for informational and educational